focus on. So in any moment, what's wrong is always available. So is what's right. So it's not about being positive. It's about being intelligent, right? You know, when you're in a totally negative state and the world's going to end, and there are people like believing that in the next 12 years, the entire environment's going to collapse and they won't have a child. You got to look at the impact of what you're believing, and you got to look at and say, where's my focus going? I can always be upset about something. I can always find something to be joyous or at least grateful for, which leads to joy. And I think it's having that, learning to discipline your disappointments, not allow them to grow and to move on and to use whatever life has given you. But to me, it's like, I think there's 3 decisions that people make every moment of their life. Now, I'm not saying they make them consciously. If you make them unconsciously, you have the same patterns over and over again. And usually they're not good ones, right? Sometimes they're good, but not usually. And I learned these really because I had an experience when I was 11 years old. I was my 4th father, and he got fired, and we had no money and no food. We were always poor, but I mean, we wouldn't have starved. We had saltine crackers and peanut butter, right? But when everybody else around you was having a big Thanksgiving dinner, it was pretty depressing. And my mom and dad were saying things to each other that once you say them, you can't take them back. And I have a younger brother, 5 years younger, and a younger sister, 7 years younger. So I felt like the parent almost. I'm trying to protect them. I'm only 11 years old. And what changed my life is this bang on the door. I go open the door, and there's this guy, big guy with groceries in both hands, and he had a pot on the ground with an uncooked turkey.
Homes. Mm-hmm. We go to Albany, New York. We live in Castle. We go 30 miles north to Albany, New York, and we watch it on pay-per-view. And after the fight, we got in the car. No one talked. So we drove 30 miles back to Catskill. We all opened the door. We all went to our rooms. We never talked. The next morning, Cuss is on the phone with Muhammad Ali. And, whoa, my feelings are going back there. Ali is calling, Cuss is calling Larry Holmes so many bad. How do you let that bum hit on you, Chad Ali? How do you the bum? Why you let that bum beat on you? Cuss, he's almost getting sensitive, emotional. Why is the bum almost crying? He's a fucking bum. Why you let him hit you? Why you let him beat him? Ooh, fuck, I'm going back there. Boom. So I talked to Ali on the phone. He said, I have a 14-year-old kid. He's going to be heavyweight champ of the world. His name is Mike Tyson. Please tell him to listen to me. He don't know I heard him say that. I was listening. Every time he talks on the phone, he's talking to very important people sometimes. Norman Mailer, Bud Schurberg, all these great writers and stuff. So I'm always on the side to hear what he's talking about and stuff.
Because according to the Department of Labor, over 20,000 people lose their jobs every month and being replaced by artificial intelligence. And so I used to sell television sets. So a guy named Sam Axelrod knock on the door. Hello, hi, would you like to buy a good working television set? No money down. And they know you're going from door to door. And he would call the guys together when it gets so late and say, okay, we gotta go. And he would call everybody to the car. And he said, wait a minute, he counted ahead. Hey, Leslie's not here. And I could hear him saying, hey, Leslie, come on to the car. And I said, no, Sam, why not? I said, I'm not gonna stop until I sell a television set. I haven't sold yet. No, nobody's sold anything yet. I don't care, Sam. I've got to do this. I made a commitment. I'm going to make enough money to put groceries on our table. And I would knock sometimes 10:30 at night. And, hi, would you like to buy a nice working television set? No money down? Do you know what time it is? Yes, I do. I'm going to buy
a school to start a school. They weren't going to school to go to school. Mm-hmm. They were going to school to start a school for their people.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so when you think about your dignity, like how you show up, getting awards, getting validated, being loved on, they weren't loved on in white institutions. Mm-hmm. They couldn't even go. So it was not only important to have your own, it was important to have your own for your own dignity.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so I was like, oh, I get it. These kids would rather go to a concert because you're really just here to get a degree and go get a job. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not here. They came here to start a school for their people, bruh. They did that in 1867, moved to Montgomery in 1887. Bruh, Oakwood didn't start to 1896. So what does that mean? That means that school started us off, if that makes sense. And so I just think when you look at me and kids go, I want to be a motivational speaker, you're doing it for the reason of being famous and you're doing it for money. That's why you can't compete with me. Not because you don't have the gift, the grind is not the same, and the root, you're not rooted. You don't have deep roots. Your roots are extrinsic things, not intrinsic things. And so I was like, yo, trying to just explain that to him, but I was like, yo, the Marion Nine, bro, they didn't have an option to do it. And I think sometimes for our children, we didn't mean no harm, but to give them all these options is what's